What's up? I'll make this very quick. Had my midterm today for Calc 2. Honestly, I will be very honest. I don't think I was very well prepped. Um, prior 24 hours prior to the exam, right? I think a lot of studying that did occur for the preparation of this exam happened the last 9 hours, like literally the 9 hours prior to exam. So what happened was that my exam was at 9 a.m. and I had basically like some like integrals and derivatives. You have the basic idea. That's like the no, you come in with Calc 1, but then those like concepts like washers or washers method or no. The tricky thing was that there was two components to this exam for me. There was memorizing the formulas. That was the first hurdle I had to overcome. And the second hurdle was that I had to actually had like practice with the more difficult topics or the topics I thought were difficult at the time. So like topics like inverse trigonometry, right? So what I had to do, like in those last 9 hours leading up to the exam was okay, I first covered all the formulas I would have to go through. I didn't spend too much time practicing with them, which maybe did affect my exam. But I just want to get into I just want to refresh my mind on all the formulas and you know, and I will say there's no formula I forgot per se. I think it was helpful. So that was like up until like 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Then finally at 2 a.m. I was reaching like the breaking point or the turning point where I was like, okay, do I go to bed now even though I haven't gone to like the more difficult topics, which was more actually those chapter 6 and chapter 7. And I was like, okay, because really I was tired. I don't like staying up late anymore. And I said, actually, if I go into this exam now, I'm probably most likely going to fail. So I decided that what I was going to do was going to stay up to like 5 a.m. just studying or 6 a.m. And then I did that for the next 3 hours. I was just studying inverse trigonometry, which was like no, I did exponential first, and I actually don't. Exponential was for some reason much harder, even though I did that earlier. But then inverse trigonometry at first it was hard, and then like it started clicking. I was like, thank the Lord, all my days. Cause like it was just a shift. I was like, I actually have no idea what's going on. And then you see the pairs, you see how it relates to one another. I was like, okay, this makes much more sense. And you basically have to only memorize three formulas for like the integral of the formulas. I think it was inverse sine, inverse tan, and I think it was inverse of CK, I believe, and you just do that. And they're pretty easy to remember. You just have to make stupid phrases in your head, and that's how I use like for a lot of the formulas. I just make a joke in my head, and it's very easy to remember the joke. So a lot of the formulas are kind of come in pairs. It's like with washers and with wash and shell, right? Those are like a pair of formulas for calculating revolving shapes around an axis. So you just kind of make a joke about why they're different, and then it's easy for you to remember them. And I remember with the inverse trigonometry, I remember sine was the integral of the inverse of sine was 1 over the square root of a squared minus x squared. Then sec no tan was x squared plus a squared. That like divided by you divide that by 1. And then you had secant. I remember secant looked like the sine, inverse of sine, but then it just had like an X outside. Like so the way I thought about it was like Seeking is basically trying too hard to be special, and that's how I remember that. Cause I'm like, okay, if I think Seeking is trying too hard to be special, how that makes sense in a math thing? And it's like, oh, it has another X, and that's like how I remember it. I think it did work out pretty well. 'Cause I remember there may have been a problem like that on the exam. I was really happy when I saw I was laughing actually, and then I got to do it. But yeah, I didn't finish. I will say that I didn't get to. I finished all the problems. I got to go to all of the problems. But there's some problems I got stuck on. There's some problems I didn't know how to solve. I think those two maximum. But that also seemed to be the majority of the class. So I'll see. Hopefully there's a curve or some sort, or hopefully I just get like an A. That's like the goal. But I think what I'm going to just try doing now, I don't know what term what I'll call the studying technique I just did like over the past 9 hours before the exam. But I really did like it because what it did is that it forced me to blitz through all the content, gave me exposure to everything. So I actually got a better feel because a lot of the time what happens is that I end up spending too much time on a topic that I shouldn't be spending that much time in compared to some other topic that I'm not fully sure of. Like I can do the highlighting technique, but then for example, the highlighting technique I would argue that exponential should have been allotted more time than inverse trigonometry. I think the way I know that is that I was like the way. The way I would have known that ideally was that I'll get to practice like both of them quick, not dedicate a lot of time to either. I just get a sense of okay, how much do I know, what do I know, and feel for that. But then the way I did it was I was just like, okay, I was tackling topics one by one. I thought it was like a linear build on top of one another. It is kind of like that, but it's not really. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try and do that. So like for my CS exam, I think what I'm going to try and do is go blitz through all the questions or types of questions we may have, and then see like where are the big troughs that I'm like where my knowledge just disappears, and then focus on those, and then reevaluate how I want to study the whole thing. But yeah, that's my math midterm, and that's my future plan for the CS data structures and algorithms 2 midterm. Besides that, though, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.